Good morning. Welcome to our 2021 commencement. I do ask that you remain standing and please remove your hats for the invocation. Let us pray. Gracious God, open our eyes that we might partake of the beauty of your creation. Open our nostrils that we might sense the sweet aroma of your presence. Open our ears that we might hear the symphony of life. Open our mouths that we might speak the truth in love, and open our minds that we might know you. Amen. You may be seated. Colonel Mercer.
Good morning. At this time, we would like to ask all veterans to please stand. We would like to thank you for your service to our great nation. Now, would everyone else please stand as Ms. Scott, 2006 alumni, sings the Star-Spangled Banner.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we've held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we've watched were so gallantly gleaming, and still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the
Good morning, Mr. Fleming, Dr. Duff, members of the Platform Party, distinguished guests, and especially 2021 graduates. Graduates, you have overcome tremendous obstacles. You have survived the pandemic and earned a college degree. Perhaps you would also like to paraphrase the Apostle Paul. I have fought the good fight. I have finished the course. I have kept the faith. Henceforth, there is laid up for me a college degree. Can I get a witness? Graduation day is always bittersweet for those of us on the platform. We will miss those of you who are graduating. However, we also know that you came here to get an education, which will empower you to change the world. You came to leave. Today is particularly bittersweet for me, as this will be my last baccalaureate message while I transition from the chaplaincy of the college to a faculty role after 21 years at Wesleyan. I have learned from the journey, and I have reflected. Graduates, I challenge you to reflect on what you are learning and have learned from your life journey as well. My life's journey has taught me many priceless lessons, among them that I should never make snap judgments about other people without giving them a fair chance. Today, I will share with you a few brief vignettes that illustrate these lessons. See, I am able to stand before you today because on my journey, someone was willing to give me a chance without prejudice, without prejudging me. In December 2002, I applied to be the chaplain at this college. I had already been a part-time adjunct professor here for 5 semesters. Picture this, and it's okay for you to laugh about it as you attempt to visualize it. I was at least 125 pounds heavier than I currently am. I had much more hair. Most of my hair was dark and spiked, and I occasionally wore earrings. A young African-American student from Baltimore named Fred Miller went out of his way to give me a reference without prejudice to the college's president, Dr. Ian Newbold. And I quote, "Reverend Drum's pretty cool for a white middle-aged country preacher from the South," Fred said to Newbold. "You ought to hire him." Based on his reference, I got the job. That's a true story. To me, Fred Miller represents the Wesleyan spirit, the willingness to look beyond the superficial, to hear beyond the soundbite, to think beyond the cynicism and sarcasm, and instead consider all persons of sacred worth. I challenge you to consider all persons to be of sacred worth. That was what the prophet Samuel did when he anointed David the shepherd boy to be the king of Israel. In that biblical passage, Samuel noted that people may look on the outward appearance, but God looks at the heart. Battling bishops, I challenge you to be like Fred Miller and to be like the inspiration for our battling bishop mascot, Methodist Bishop Francis Asbury. In his travels around America, Bishop Asbury literally preached to hundreds of thousands. But he was particularly struck by a black man from North Carolina named Harry Hoosier. Harry Hoosier had been born a slave in what is now Fayetteville in 1750. Asbury taught Hoosier how to read, then he invited him to be his partner in a 2-man traveling evangelistic team. Imagine that for just a moment. The first Methodist bishop in the United States traveled all over the South and the Midwest in the late 1700s with Reverend Harry Hoosier, a black man, as his ministry partner. Asbury later wrote about Hoosier, "He is absolutely the finest Methodist preacher in the world." Let that quote sink in. He is absolutely the finest Methodist preacher in the world. This is the battling bishop spirit, the willingness to give someone a chance without prejudice, to see beyond the superficial, hear beyond the soundbite, and think beyond the twin traps of cynicism and sarcasm, instead to see the sacred worth of every human being. Battling bishops, be like our namesake, Bishop Asbury. I began learning such life lessons long before I entered academia as a vocation. As a Nissan salesman in the 1980s in a desperate slump, I eagerly approached a man kicking tires on the sales lot. In the retail business, we were taught curbside qualifying, the alleged ability to determine whether or not a potential customer was a waste of time. This gentleman had a scruffy beard and long hair, was wearing a dirty old Harley-Davidson t-shirt from which he had amputated the sleeves, and he had driven up in a ratty old Mustang II with no muffler. My fellow sales reps laughed at me as I walked toward him. I welcomed the man to the dealership, and the first thing he said to me was, "I have a repossession on my credit report. You may not want to mess with me." But working on straight commission and in a sales slump, I was willing to take a chance. It turns out that he was the manager of the largest tire store in the city. He and his wife both had healthy incomes, and on that Saturday afternoon, I sold him a brand new Sentra. He came back Monday morning and traded in his chrome-lated Harley-Davidson for a new Nissan pickup. That supposed waste of time netted me 2 sales in 2 business days, and my coworkers were amazed. I had been willing to give this man a chance in desperation, and it paid off. Brothers and sisters, every major world religion teaches this principle, either called the golden rule or the silver rule, and that is to do unto others as you would have them to do unto you. How many of you want to be prejudged by others before you even have a chance to interact with them? I challenge you to do unto others as you would have them do unto you, to give everyone a chance without prejudice to see all people as creatures of sacred worth. Yet not everyone is so enlightened. A few years ago, I was at a national conference, a gathering of college chaplains, and at the time I was investigating schools that offered the THD degree, the Doctorate of Theology. Only a handful of colleges in America did, with a few others offering the unfortunately named Doctorate of Systematic Theology, which was called the STD degree. For obvious reasons, I didn't want the STD. Get thee behind me, Satan. At that conference, I met 2 men from a university that did offer the THD degree, and I introduced myself. The men were both Caucasian and both about my age. When I inquired about their THD program, I was stunned by their response. Boy, you ought to stay down south where you came from. You wouldn't like our program, and we wouldn't like you. I'm rarely speechless, but after a brief pause, I blurted out, "You're right, because as a graduate of UNC and Duke, I'm accustomed to much better institutions than yours. Have a nice day." When we act with such prejudice, prejudging people by their speech patterns, skin color, clothing, hairstyle, body piercings, tattoos, or other external factors, we are discounting their sacred worth. Every human being was created in the image of God, and therefore every human being has sacred worth in God's sight. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. See beyond the superficial, hear beyond the soundbite, and think beyond the twin traps of cynicism and sarcasm to view your neighbor as a person of sacred worth. When I began a moment ago, I told you that I might not be standing before you today as your chaplain had it not been for a young man named Fred Miller. Actually, the grace bestowed upon me began long before my birth. My father flew in a B-24 bomber during World War II. The B-24 was a slow, lumbering, vulnerable death trap for the Air Force. Many American B-24 flyers never made it home from Europe. But my father once told me a story about an elite group of African-American fighter pilots called the Tuskegee Airmen. My daddy described them as the best fighter escorts in the Air Force. Daddy said there were some men who weren't so sure about those red-tailed P-51 Mustangs because they were piloted by black men. But he, my father, was willing to give them a chance. Fortunately, my father had to face little combat flying over Italy, and by God's grace, he got reassigned to go home to be in Florida as a chaplain's assistant, suffering for Jesus in Florida as a chaplain's assistant. Daddy safely made it home after a few missions, and I was born 13 years later. I'm literally alive today because of God's grace. And I reflect on these things. And I challenge you, all of you, people of every race, every belief system, gender, social class, to see beyond the superficial, to hear beyond the soundbite, and to think beyond the twin traps of cynicism and sarcasm, so you might see the sacred worth of another human being created in the image of God. Amen.
Good morning. So before I offer my welcome, I want to make 2 points. One, 6 months ago, did we ever think we would be in this place with our family and our friends? So I'm so grateful to see so many faces in here today and to celebrate our graduates. Number two, when Miss Scott graduated, I bet she thought that was the last commencement at Wesleyan she would be at. But then we heard how beautiful she could sing, so she's here every time. So thank you. It is my great pleasure to welcome everyone to this celebration, which honors a group of promising men and women who, through intelligence, discipline, hard work, have earned college degrees from North Carolina Wesleyan College. This is indeed a joyous occasion, a time when we celebrate learning and academic achievement. It is also a time when we recall, once again, that few worthwhile things are achieved through the help and support of others. It is important to note on this occasion that these degrees are provided by an institution which seeks not only to dispense knowledge and to develop habits of lifelong learning, but also expects its graduates to be responsible citizens, contributors to the common good, women and men who care about others. As we celebrate together, we acknowledge the obligations all of us have to help bring about a better world. We persevered through one of the most challenging years of our lives, and we did it by supporting each other. I am fortunate to work with the best faculty and staff around who care about our students and the communities we serve. And if you will provide me with just a little bit of grace, I'm going to pull up a list and explain that today was possible because faculty and staff stopped what they were doing Friday, came here to help the event center to set up for today. And so I want to acknowledge a few people that you probably know: Leah Hill, Lynn Anderson, Jessica Brondike, Elliot Smith, Jason Modlin, Andrew Vatipka, Don Turner, Suzanne Henney, Bridget Walker, Daniki Carter, Tammy Harrell, Charlie Long, Wayne Sears, Stephen Mann, Mike Fry. We also had some students who helped us, and of course Cindy Edwards, who helped bring the whole team together. So thank you so much for the work that you did. As we close out this academic year, let us all reflect on Wesleyan's core values. That includes empathy, understanding, respect, and kindness. Let us continue to make a commitment that we will do better, we will care more, and we will use our talents for good. With that said, it is my honor, pleasure, and privilege to introduce our May 2021 commencement speaker. Brandon P. Fleming is the assistant coach of debate at Harvard University, as well as founder and CEO of the Harvard Diversity Project. He received a Bachelor of Arts in English from Liberty University and his Master of Arts in English from the University of Georgia. At the age of 26, he was recruited to join the Harvard Debate Council faculty after coaching the Ron Clark Academy debate team in a tournament to an unprecedented, undefeated record. As one of Ron Clark's master educators, he also trained over 30,000 educators worldwide on best practices in education. Harvard approved Fleming's proposal to establish a new department within the university system called the Harvard Diversity Project, an unparalleled pipeline program that the Harvard Debate Council adapted as its subsidiary. Today, Fleming leads an executive staff and board that's raised $1 million to enroll over 100 students of color into Harvard's International Summer Debate Residency on full scholarship. Recruiting underserved youth with no prior debate experience, Fleming then trains them to compete against hundreds of elite debaters from over 25 different countries. Since the program's inception in 2017, every cohort trained by Fleming has won the international competition, with one group setting the record as global champions. Fleming has received numerous awards for his work in education and social entrepreneurship, notably making history as an elected speaker for the inaugural International Day of Education at the United Nations General Assembly. He was also named to the 2020 Forbes 30 Under 30 list and recognized by the Root magazine as one of the top 100 influential African Americans in the United States. Fleming is also the author of Miseducated, a memoir, which is scheduled to be released in June 2021. In his book, Fleming describes his transformation from a delinquent, drug-dealing dropout to an award-winning Harvard educator through literature and debate, all by the age of 27. Through his personal narrative, readers witness Fleming's transformation, self-education, and how he takes what he learns about words and power to help others like himself. Miseducated is an honest memoir about resilience, visibility, role models, and overcoming all expectations. Please give a warm Wesleyan welcome to Mr. Brandon P. Fleming.
Class of 2021, make some noise. Oh, come on, this y'all graduation day. Y'all can do a little bit better than that. Class of 2021, make some noise. Here we go. To the president and provost, the administrative staff, the graduates and families, it is my absolute privilege to be here with you. But can I be painfully honest for just a moment? I've had the honor of speaking many different places, from Fortune 100 companies to the United Nations General Assembly, but I think I underestimated how intimidating it can be to give a commencement address. And I'm not going to lie to you, it's a slightly scary responsibility, because at the very best, I can say something that will fan your flame as you prepare to launch into the world armed with a new degree. But at the very worst, this could be an absolute disaster, and the many years spent in the classroom and long nights you spent doing research and writing papers, some of you while working jobs, some of you while raising children, and some of you while trying not to lose your spouse. You might suddenly question if all of it was worth it, if this goes completely wrong. So I was very careful to choose my words wisely today in hopes that my message is not the reason that you request a refund. So, on this day, as we celebrate the conclusion of this academic chapter and the commencement of your next expedition, my inspirational message to you today is that I hope you fail. Now, I anticipated some of the looks that you might be giving me right now, but it's true. Because by now you've already heard the cliches. You've heard the never give up on your dreams. You've heard the you can be whatever it is that you want to be. You've heard the follow your heart and God will bless you. You've heard all of these platitudes, but I'm not a motivational speaker. I'm a teacher, which means that I need to inform you and equip you and empower you with something that will transcend this singular moment. And I need you to understand today that failure is the reason that I stand before you. It was just about 10 years ago that I woke up in a hospital bed after attempting to take my own life. I woke up staring at the ceiling with tubes attached to my arms, a stream of tears falling down the contours of my face, and the faint beeping of a monitor reminding me that I had been given a second chance that I did not want. Perhaps some of you have never been so encumbered by despair. Perhaps some of you have never fallen so low into the depths of failure and made your bed at the bottom where it feels like the coldest crypt or the hottest of hells. Some people lose themselves there. But then there are others whose passion is birthed in a moment of pain. I recently took one of the biggest risks of my life when I decided to write a book. Some anticipated that I would write about my successes. They thought I'd write about getting recruited by an Ivy League by the age of 26. They thought I'd provide tips on how to get rich and make the Forbes list by the age of 30. Yes, I have done these things, except, to be clear, I am not rich. However, I do have a very special surprise for you today. So what I want everyone to do here is I want you to take a moment and I want you to reach beneath your seats. Go ahead. Reach beneath your seats. You see that? There's nothing there. Because I am not Oprah Winfrey. Nor am I Robert Smith. I'm so sorry, that's not me. While I would love to provide everybody here with a check, and while I would love to announce that I am paying off everyone's student debt, I am not. But what I can offer you today is what I hoped to offer the world when I decided to write a memoir about my failures. A mentor even told me not to do it, not to air and expose my foibles to the world, but it's the price that I'm willing to pay today and every day. If it means that in this day where we are divided as people across racial and socio-political lines, that we can see that while we are all born into circumstances that we did not choose, we are united in the common anguish called humanity, where failure is not only necessary and inevitable, but it is also one of our greatest gifts. No, it's not the gift with the fanciest bow, but it's the gift with the most promise. When I look back over my turbulent journey, I often ask the question, why me? I look at where I am now and the pain that I endured to get here, and I ask myself, did it really take all of that? Wondering if perhaps there was a shortcut or a less pain-induced path to discovering my calling. Did it take me growing up in a home where I endured the most unimaginable abuses at the hands of a man who was a Baptist preacher by day and a cocaine addict by night? Did it take me getting jumped into a gang when I was 12 years old? Did it take me becoming a drug dealer by the time I was 14? And when basketball pulled me out of the streets with promises of success, an injury derailed my college career before it hardly began, stripping the one positive identity that I had in exchange for the label of a dropout. And I spent the next 2 years of my life slaving on an assembly line for 12 hours a day and 6 days a week until depression wrapped itself around me like a cloak and convinced me that the only way to escape failure was death. Did it really take all of that? And just when I received the miracle, it seemed misleading. 2 years after dropping out, desperation led me back to school. And in the perfect story, there would be nothing but success looming beyond the horizon, right? But it was not. Failure was there around the corner, waiting for me with a cudgel clutched in hand, ready to club me in the face because now I had to survive college with a middle school education level. I just want you to imagine that. I scored in the bottom percentile of the SAT. I could hardly read, I could hardly write, and I called myself choosing a shortcut. When I met with my academic advisor to choose my major, I fingered through the list of subjects, searching for the easiest one. I skipped over majors like informatics and biomedical sciences and civil engineering and others that seemed to me to be more confusing than Chinese characters, and I landed on the one word that I recognize. And I knew that I had officially outsmarted the rigors of college by choosing the simplest major of all. That major was English. My logic was that I speak English, so how difficult can it be? Next thing you know, I'm in these classrooms listening to these professors using this sophisticated rhetoric and highfalutin jargon, wanting me to read books like Beowulf and the Odyssey and the Iliad and Dante's Inferno. As soon as I opened that book and I read midway upon the journey of our life, I found myself within a dark forest, but the straightway path had been lost. I slammed the book shut and I said, these people got me messed up. Worse than being jumped into a gang was being drubbed by dead poets, where I felt like I was sucker punched by Shakespeare, clotheslined by Chaucer, and drop kicked by Dickerson. Worse than a black eye from a street fight was the bruises left to my self-esteem from trying to be something that I simply wasn't. And in class, I was too afraid to speak, so I sat still in my own silence, and it made me invisible. This is why I tell my students that silence is not an option, and I say the same thing to all of you today. In every space that you enter, I need you to understand that it is your voice that declares your presence. Because where a man or a woman has no voice, they do not exist. You can even be present and still not exist, because inferiority is an induced consciousness whose physical manifestation begins with silence. I settled for invisibility and inferiority because I could not understand the lofty language of my professors. I couldn't keep up with the conversations because I couldn't read the literature. And the times when my name was called to join the class discussions, my peers laughed as I attempted to formulate words and miserably fumbled. I was sick of being mocked. I went back to my dorm room every single day feeling like the dumb black kid who fulfilled every stereotype, and I sulked in that pain, wondering why me, looking at all the smart kids and how privileged they were and wondering why I couldn't have better. But I want you to understand, and I want to tell you about a moment that changed my life forever. And this is a lesson that I want to leave you with today. One of my essays was flagged for plagiarism because I stole it off of JSTOR. I know, who does that, right? Who steals a peer-reviewed essay from a research portal, slaps their name on it, and turns it in expecting not to get caught? This guy, right here, that's who. It was a total blunder, to say the least, but it was a defining moment of failure that changed the trajectory of my entire life. My professor called me into her office saying that we needed to talk. I sat across from her as she pulled my essay out of her bag. The paper was bloodied in red ink as she slid it across the desk and politely asked, "Did you write this?" hoping that I would tell the truth. Completely unaware and unapologetic, my response to her was, "Of course I wrote it." But it was what she did next that startled me. She did not scold me. She did not interrogate me. She did not reveal that she knew the truth. As my lie lingered in the air between us, she placed her hands back on the paper and she slid the paper aside. Then she looked at me and said, "I want to know more about you." She asked about my background. She asked about my family. She asked about my struggles. She asked about my aspirations. And she even became vulnerable with me. She told me about her upbringing. She told me about her family. She told me about her battle with cancer. And suddenly, a wall that was previously impervious and impenetrable had started to come down. But why is that? The wall that was my disdain for teachers, the wall that was my contempt for school, the wall that represented a heart that was so stone cold and unable to be reached no matter how many people tried. How was it that she was able to do for me what nobody else could? It's because after we exchanged stories and shared laughs and shed tears, she reached her hand across the table and she placed her hand on mine. Then she looked at me and said, "Brandon, I need you to know that you are safe here." And the compassion in her eyes confirmed that she was telling the truth. So when she asked me once more, "Brandon, did you write this?" It was as if the dam of mistrust had been broken and vulnerability spilled out. I looked at her and said, "No, I didn't write it," and I decided to tell the truth. The truth was that I wasn't nobody's scholar. The truth was that I was nothing but an imposter intruding upon a world in which I did not belong. The truth was that I was just a reformed gangster and an ex-drug dealer and a recovering suicide survivor who had no business trying to read books and write papers and pretend that I could be somebody's academic. So I said, "Who am I kidding?" And I decided in that moment that I was done with it all. But before I could bolt out of the room, she rose from her seat and she rushed over to rescue me with her arms outstretched. And she held me in her arms as my head was nestled on her shoulder, as water was pooling in my eyes. And I said, "I understand if you have to fail me." But what she said in that next moment shocked me. As she saw me starting to sink into the abyss of self-pity, her words pulled me back up. She said, "I am not going to fail you." She said, "We are going to redo it." I was confused because I didn't understand what she meant by "we." It would have been an act of grace if she said, I could redo it, but instead she said, we are going to redo it. And what does this mean? It means she did not look at my insufficiencies and insecurities and inadequacies and leave me to fend for myself. No, when this woman found me in the dark pits of despair, she was willing to reach down and climb down and crawl down and meet me where I was in the grimy trenches of failure. And she was willing to struggle with me until she could pull me out. How did she do that? By spending the next several months outside of class, outside of office hours, sitting with me at the local bookstore, teaching me how to read and how to write. And here's what I need you to understand. The reason why I share this with you today is because what this woman did for me was more than show me the power of an educator. She showed me our collective responsibility as teachers and doctors and lawyers and engineers and artists and whatever it is that you spent the last several years studying to earn this degree that you'll receive today. No matter what field you go into, I need you to understand that your responsibility is to be a servant leader. And I'm not talking about your major. It's much bigger. Right now, I'm talking about your mission. If you ask any successful person from Jeff Bezos to Tyler Perry to Oprah Winfrey, they will boast on the seasons of failure because it gave them every tool that they needed to leverage their success. But that's not why I hope you fail. Not so you can become a billionaire like Oprah. Not so you can become famous like Tyler Perry. Not so you can become the wealthiest person in the world like Jeff Bezos. The reason why I hope you fail is because failure promises us the gift that money can't buy. And that is the gift of empathy. Empathy is what allows us to step into somebody else's shoes. Empathy is what allows us to see the world through somebody else's lens. Empathy is what breaks down every barrier of racism and sexism and pierces through the wall of every injustice. Empathy is what allows an old white woman to look at my black skin, and my baggy jeans, and my Timberland boots, and my urban slang, and everything else about me that the world said was a problem. She looked beyond all of it, and she saw my potential to change the world. And that is what I see right here before my very eyes this day. Hundreds of people who have the same potential to leave an indelible mark on the world, but not if you don't understand the true impetus of change. When asked about transformation, I tell people with conviction that English did not change me. Academics did not change me. Education did not change me. Love is what changed me, because empathy changes people more than information ever will. If you want to be true agents of change, you must first understand that change comes through the front door of the heart and the back door of the mind. In the words of my dear mentor, Dr. Cornel West, you can't save people that you don't serve, and you can't lead people that you don't love. And so, class of 2021, as we celebrate your commencement and send you into the world, I came here today to tell you that I hope you fail. I hope you fail in all the right places, because when you do, the greatest teacher will be there to catch you in their arms, and you'll never forget that moment, because it will teach you about your responsibility to the world. I want to leave you with this last thought. At every turn of my life that was disguised as failure, I asked the question, why me? When I suffered abject abuse as a child, and my stepfather left me bruised and mangled on the floor, I asked the question, why me? When I went to college to play basketball and immediately suffered a knee injury, I asked the question, why me? When I dropped out of school, attempted suicide, and barely survived, I asked the question, why me? Through all of that suffering, I asked why me, and I'll be honest with you, I had a problem with God for a while. Because that mess nearly broke me and it nearly killed me, and I wondered maybe there was some other better way. Did it really take all of that? Then I finally got my answer when I made it to Harvard, a place that nothing in my life seemed to qualify me for. That is when I learned that God does not call those who are qualified, but he qualifies those whom he calls. And as I sat there in Harvard Yard with my feet planted in that Ivy League grass, I looked around at a place that lacked diversity, and I saw a problem. And I had no idea that all of that time my entire journey, that roundabout, meandering journey, had done nothing but prepare me to be the solution in this moment. Why me? It was never about me. And everything that you've been through, no matter how big or how small, it was never about you. My failures weren't about me. Your failures weren't about you. They were always about the people that we will someday be used to reach out and touch. Because God has a strange way of breaking us into places that he wants to use us to help heal the world. Whether it's a setback like family traumas or success like earning your degree today, what you've survived and what you've achieved means absolutely nothing if you don't use it to make somebody else's life better. So I'm sorry if today you expected a message about how to climb the ladder and get rich, because the message I've come with today is about how you climb the ladder and reach back. So as you stand at this moment on the precipice of the unknown where failure is sure and inevitable, you might wonder if you should play it safe, or you might wonder if you should take the leap. I know you're scared, but I'm here to encourage you to do it afraid, because it reminds me of the poem by Eric Hansen that says there is freedom waiting on you on the breezes of the sky. And you ask, but what if I fall? Oh, my darling, but what if you fly? Class of 2021, I hope you fail. It's not a matter of if, but a matter of when. It's not a matter of why, but a matter of how. And when you fail, my earnest hope and my deepest desire is that you will fail forward, that you will spread your wings, that you will find your voice, that you will see your potential, that you will manifest your power. And because of the journey that you endured, that you will find it incumbent upon yourself to blaze trails in the spaces where we belong, to break down every barrier of opportunity, to shatter every glass ceiling, and to be intrusive in the spaces that are not inclusive. Class of 2021, congratulations. Go out and conquer the world. Thank you very much.
Each year during spring commencement, the college, in association with the General Board of Higher Education and Ministry of the United Methodist Church, presents this award to a full-time faculty member of North Carolina Wesleyan College. This award is made to recognize excellence in teaching and promotion of student learning, civility, and concern for students and colleagues, commitment to valued-centered education, service to students beyond the classroom, and service to the larger community beyond campus. This year, we will be presenting our 2020 and 2021 Exemplary Teacher Awards at this time. Our 2020 Exemplary Teacher of the Year recipient is described in the following way by nominators. He shows great patience and kindness with his students, treating them with respect. He's an absolute genius in his field and is an incredible teacher. He always goes the extra mile, giving up much of his free time to help students work on special studio projects. He also accompanied students to a trip to Sony Music in New York City in the fall of 2019. The 2020 Exemplary Teacher of the Year is Professor Tony Sawyer. Our 2021 Exemplary Teacher of the Year recipient was described in the following way by nominators. This faculty member demonstrates enthusiasm for the Wesleyan education experience and persistence in seeking to enhance his department. He also shoulders a heavy advising load, oversees student practicum experience, experiences at the UNC Nash Hospital's Cardiac Rehabilitation Unit and has served as the chair of the School of Math and Science. He has a level-headed approach to managing the school and is a strong advocate for his faculty. He is also a well-respected leader on campus. The 2021 Exemplary Teacher of the Year is Dr. Mayor McGall. Dr. McGall is not able to be with us today, so we will accept this award in his honor.
Today, we would like to honor Nicole Danielle Jackson with an honorary posthumous degree. Nicole started attending Wesleyan in 2016. She was pursuing 2 degrees, a BA in psychology and a Bachelor of Science in CIS, and had already earned 96 semester hours towards her bachelor's degree at the time of her death on May 9th, 2020. She is a native of Rocky Mount and a mother of 4. We would like to honor her family and award them with her honorary posthumous degrees. Would the family members of Nicole Danielle Jackson please come to receive her degrees? We move now to the conferral of degrees. I want to offer a brief word of appreciation to our faculty and staff who brought each graduate to this place on this day. Would the candidates for the degree of Master of Business Administration please stand? On the recommendation of the faculty and by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of North Carolina Wesleyan College, I hereby confer upon you the degree Master of Business Administration with all the rights and privileges pertaining thereto. Please be seated. Would the candidates for the degree of Master of Science in Criminal Justice please stand? On the recommendation of the faculty and by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of North Carolina Wesleyan College, I hereby confer upon you the degree Master of Science with all the rights and privileges pertaining thereto. Please be seated. Would the candidates for the degree Bachelor of Arts please stand? On the recommendation of the faculty and by virtue of the authority invested in me by the Board of Trustees of North Carolina Wesleyan College, I hereby confer upon you the degree Bachelor of Arts with all the rights and privileges pertaining thereto. Please be seated. Would the candidates for the degree Bachelor of Science please stand? On the recommendation of the faculty and by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of North Carolina Wesleyan College, I hereby confer upon you the degree Bachelor of Science with all the rights and privileges pertaining thereto. Please be seated.
Marshals, please take your places. Harvey Jermaine Brown. Lateria Monet Carmen. Eric Alejandro Chavez. Corina Shayna Cherry. Aisha Clark. Lauren Catherine Collins. Antoinette Starr Daniel. Bianca C. Distance. Jennifer Danielle Foreman. Ashley Tyrone Parker. Latrell Payton. Shateza Dejanay Pugh. Anna Nicole Sawyer. Patrice Chanel Thompson. Harriet Denise Whitehead. Sharon Lynn Bright. Tracy Nicole Brown. Daniel Aaron Grisham. Ashley R. Grissom. Gregory J. Groff. Angelique Marie Taylor. Carlisa Michelle Williams. Shaquana Monet Austin. Quanisha Deshay Avent. Kate Adonia Avila. Isa S. Awuku. Asia Sania Barber. Garrett Wesley Barger. Jennifer Cornelia Bosler. Sifra Briggs, summa cum laude. Tamitha L. Brown. Cynthia Ann Buffalo. Tyree Karan Butler. Alexius Nashay Bynum. Taylor Carawan. Alexander J. Childs. Thomas Alvin Clark. Alexandra Randy Cuccinata, summa cum laude, graduate of the Honors Program. Celestial Daniel. Andrea Tremaine Davenport. Colton Lunsford Cummings Dethridge. Grace Christine de Montesquieu, summa cum laude, graduate of the Honors Program. Kenya Janae Dickens. Chastity Gabriella Ebron. Joseph Andrew Edgerton, Jr., cum laude. Deshaun T. Finley. Dylan Ray Gard. Amber Caitlin Gardner, magna cum laude. Christian E. Gardner, cum laude, graduate of the Honors Program. Andrea Gonzalez Vieira. Epiphany Hansley, cum laude. Sherelle Latrice Harvey. Christopher Douglas Henley. Jemiah Razay Hunt. Kayla Nicole Johnson. April Marshall Jones. Brittany Chantel Jones. Dimitri Latona Lane. Catherine Mandela Leek. Marcus Leggett. Courtney Austin Lewis. Justin Ryan Long. Ayada Ranika Lucas. Isabella Lynn. Samantha Lynn Manning. Timothy Alexander Marinos. Lakita Mayfield. Krista Michelle McLean, summa cum laude. Thomas Jermaine McFadden, Jr. Madeline Jean Myers, magna cum laude. Sydney Brianna Nichols, magna cum laude. Hunter David Nichols, cum laude. Shakira Desiree Oliver. Maria Laura Padron Loaiza. Joey Rochelle Patterson. Willard J. Plyler. Trey Anthony Passalero. Stephanie Denise Reed. Jamaica Naeva Nanika Rivas. Angelica Raquel Richardson, cum laude. Rolanda Marie Richardson, magna cum laude. Gail Smith Rivera. Diamond Roberson. Taylor Elizabeth Roberson, summa cum laude. Letisa Tawana Rogers. Denisha Markia Rowe. Julissa Rowe. Yasleen C. Santiago. Keely Alyssa Scott. Chastity Simone Cersei, cum laude. Abigail Ruth Shaw, cum laude. Corey Matthew Shoemate. Kelly Ann Catherine Saboon. Brianna D. Skipwith, magna cum laude. Meredith Legan Smith. Rebecca E. Solis Wanus, magna cum laude, graduate of the Honors Program. Tiana Camille Squire. Madison Lynn Stace. Kevin Lee Teague, magna cum laude. Victoria Grace Thompson, transfer honors, graduate of the Honors Program. Kinesia Tripp. Mary Aldridge Vanadestin. Ajane Destiny Whitaker. Amanda Marie Yates, cum laude. Ana Maria Aguilar Monroy. Jerian M. Arnold. Alyssa Grace Avery, summa cum laude. Mackenzie Renee Avery, summa cum laude. Jessica Willis Baird. Javante Barnes. Riley Jackson Baisden. Gabriela Belosi Gutierrez, magna cum laude. Jesus Alberto Berber Valadez. Luis Fernando Berber Valadez. Shanita Dickens Bethay, magna cum laude. Angela Nicole Bird, magna cum laude, graduate of the Honors Program. Akar Bista. Jeffrey Black. Janae M. Black. Desiree Anna Blackley, summa cum laude. Khalil De Jesus Blakely. Shatora Hiet Blount, magna cum laude. Jasmine Nicole Bobbitt. Halana Marie Bowen. Ashlyn Beth Braswell, cum laude. Courtney H. Bright, magna cum laude. Daquan Antonio Brooks. Jalen Monquay Brown. Antonia Francine Bunch. Patrice Antoinette Burns. Samantha Hope Butensky. Catalina Maria Caliera. Maureen Rave Jing. Grayson James Clark. Callie Nicole Klein, magna cum laude. Alex Sherrard Clinksales. Joe Wayne Coley. Devon Allen Cosbert. Dion O'Neill Cox II. Asa Zane Daniel, summa cum laude. Samantha Marie Davis. Earl Lamore Davis. Christopher Temple Day. Maria Joao Duarte Gaspar. Yamaya Elnique Dunn. Elizabeth Gray Evans, summa cum laude. Tamara Graham Faison. Allie Danielle Farmer, summa cum laude. Tawanda Daniel Farmer, summa cum laude. Christy Renee Flo. Cody Russell Fogelman, summa cum laude. Stacy Brian Gaylord, Jr. Madison Elise Gill, magna cum laude, graduate of the Honors Program. Dominique Giovannini. Demishal Grissett. Elijah Blaze Gorley, summa cum laude, graduate of the Honors Program. Sahar Germa. Gabriel Andres Guzman Guaycamacudo. Kaylee Diane Hackworth. Michael Haney. Brant Kennedy Herndon, Jr., cum laude. Randy D. Hooper. Augustine Ibuaka. Nadim Jaber. Lashunda Renee Jackson. India Eliza Jones. Jacob Urasic. Jury Kim, cum laude. Brianna Lachey Knight. Eranger Norman Cornigi III, summa cum laude. Alyssa Renee Custer, transfer honors. Georgefine Adu Lahai, magna cum laude. Kimberly Leanne Lamb, cum laude. Natalie Rose Larson, summa cum laude, graduate of the Honors Program. Cabriana T. Lewis. Carissa R. Martinez. Jasmine Brianna McCormick. Keandra Tanae McDaniel. Damon Dwayne McDowell, Jr. Kadisha Shanice McLaurin. Hugo Mendez, cum laude. Kaylee Mackenzie Molivas, magna cum laude. D. Austin Mooney. Nicole Teresia Mooney. Zachary John Mooney. Brittany M. Moore. Ron Christopher Newsom, Jr. Camelia Tanyanetta Nicholson. Shelby McClure Oliver, summa cum laude. Grace Owanafari, summa cum laude. Maria Angelica Padron Loesa. Summer Gabrielle Phillips, summa cum laude. Cassandra Cherry Pittman, summa cum laude. Keith Ray Poole, transfer honors. Augusta Ray Preston. Grace Elizabeth Preston. Roberto Puig. Tanya Kenyella Reynolds. Rashid Omar Rizk. Francisco Rodriguez. Talitha Jasmine Rowan. Omar Salim. Daniela Sebastian, magna cum laude. Rajan Shah. Haley Lynn Sheehan, magna cum laude. Tiffany Cherie Shepard. Tyler Jackson Sherrod, cum laude. Quen Cedric D. Smallwood. Jackie Boyd Weir Smith. Kiera Michelle Spooner. Kaylin Ariana Stallings. Jordan Christopher Stevens. Anita L. Stith, magna cum laude. Juan Suarez. Jody Lane Summerlin, summa cum laude. Shannon Sweeney, transfer honors. Kiora Rhinasia Taylor. Omkarnath Thakur. Jared Daniel Thomas. Adam Tillery. Jared Tolliver. Julia Ann Trimmer, summa cum laude, graduate of the honors program. Anik Umulisa. Rolando Antonio Valladares Cuestas. Geronimo Vera. Mirena Lizette Watkins. Ashley Carol Wiggins. Ashley Cohen Wiggins. Kevin Ryan Williams. Destiny Lenice Williams. Darian Tyree Woodley. Josiah Wright. Julia Zanetti. Alice C. Tyson.
Each year, 2 North Carolina Wesleyan College graduates are selected to receive prestigious awards, which recognize special achievement. The first that we will recognize is the Algernon Sidney Sullivan Award recipient. This award is presented to a senior who best exemplifies excellence in character, leadership, service to the community, and a commitment to spiritual values. This humanitarian award is meant to recognize those who have selflessly given to others or served others in some way. The recipient is chosen by the Honors Awards Committee. The 2021 Algernon Sidney Sullivan Award goes to Alexandria Cuccinati. The President's Cup Award is presented to a senior who best exhibits those characteristics considered most desirable in a graduate. Of particular importance is the attainment of the highest standards of academic performance as demonstrated by the overall grade point average at North Carolina Wesleyan College. The recipient is also chosen by the Honors Awards Committee. The 2021 President's Cup recipient is Elijah Blaze Goylick.
Honorary degrees are conferred on individuals whose lives are characterized by remarkable achievements and sustained commitments to the values stated in North Carolina Wesleyan College's mission: lifelong learning, preparing students for professional advancement, and responsible participation in their communities. There's a common thread of service to others among honorary degree recipients. Mr. Brandon P. Fleming certainly qualifies. Therefore, upon the recommendations of the Honorary Degree Committee and the approval of the Board of Trustees, it is my privilege to bestow upon Mr. Brandon P. Fleming the degree of Doctor of Humanities honoris causa with all of the rights and privileges pertaining thereto. Would you come forward?
Good morning. Again, on behalf of President Duff, the trustees, faculty, and staff, we want to welcome you to our commissioning ceremony. To the North Carolina Wesleyan family and friends, today is a very special day for our Army ROTC program as we say goodbye and good luck to Second Lieutenants Avila, Butler, Cox, Finley, and Shoemate. Today marks a great moment in their life and career. Today, they will begin their service as leaders in the United States Army. Thank you. We do this by administering the oath of office. Doctors, lawyers, public officials, and our military personnel are some of the few professions that take such an oath. The oath of office represents an officer's rite of passage from a cadet to a commissioned Army officer on behalf of the President of the United States of America. The oath also affirms a commitment to defend American people and our way of life against all enemies, both foreign and domestic. It further represents a pledge to uphold and live by the Army values of loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage. Finally, the oath of office represents a special trust that a newly commissioned second lieutenant will take care of America's sons and daughters and provide them with competent, confident, and caring leadership. This is the charge that Second Lieutenants Avila, Butler, Cox, Finley, and Shoemate will accept today. Second lieutenants, raise your right hand and repeat after me. I say your first and last name. Do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all foreign enemies, foreign and domestic. That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. That I will take this obligation freely, without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion. And that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office on which I am about to enter. So help me God. Attention. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I am proud to introduce to you the North Carolina Wesleyan College newly commissioned second lieutenants. Thank you. And now, lieutenants, as I call your name, please take one step forward as I call your name. Second Lieutenant, Kate Avila. Second Lieutenant Avila will commission into the Adjutant General Corps, active duty, United States Army. Second Lieutenant Tyree Butler. Second Lieutenant Butler will commission into the infantry branch, active duty. Second Lieutenant Dion Cox. Second Lieutenant Cox will commission into the Finance Corps, United States Army Reserves. Second Lieutenant Deshaun Finley. Second Lieutenant Finley will commission into the Medical Services Corps, active duty, United States Army. Second Lieutenant Corey Shoemate. Second Lieutenant Corey Shoemate will commission into the Military Police Corps, North Carolina National Guard. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me again in a round of applause for our newly commissioned second lieutenants. Lieutenants, you may be seated.
Good afternoon, President Duff, faculty, Board of Trustees members, graduates, and guests. My name is Caroline Little, a proud 2007 graduate of North Carolina Wesleyan College. I'm excited to be here today as the Vice President of the Alumni Board to induct the spring class of 2021 into the Alumni Association. Esteemed graduates, you are here today because despite the challenges presented, you persevered to obtain a liberal arts degree. This required continued commitment and a flexible long-term plan that would permit you to adapt to changes as they came. Your degree, then, is many promises kept to yourselves and to anyone that was invested in your success as a student here at Wesleyan. It is the culmination of your persistence to improve yourself, the lives of others, and the world around you. It is a reflection of your character, the possibilities you present, and the work that you've done. And I hope that you are just as proud as yourselves as the rest of us are. So now, you will be taking your persistence, your character, and your patience out into a world that desperately needs it. That needs you to be more specific. The education that you've received at North Carolina Wesleyan College will provide you with a unique perspective on how to approach any issue that you'll face professionally, regardless of which major you choose or which field you'll be working in. Your professional life will require the same kind of planning and adaptability that your educational life did. Your education has been all about preparing you for this moment, and that moment is here. You're ready now, and we can't wait to see what you do. One of my favorite quotes by Emily Dickinson is, "I dwell in possibility." And I believe that suits this moment very well. All of us are dwelling in possibility with you all. Also remember that Wesleyan is here to support you through this new transition. As an alumni, you are eligible to receive services through the Career and Development Center, engagement through alumni organization and events, discounts on insurance and alumni gear, legacy grants, as well as some other things. Whatever challenges you're facing, we want you to know that Wesleyan is here to support you in any way that we're able. And last but not least, let us know how you're doing. Tag us on social media. Let us know how you're using Wesleyan's unique educational experience and combining that with your instincts to create bold, new opportunities. Today, you each received a commemorative coin. You are among the first class at North Carolina Wesleyan College to receive these coins, and with you begins a new tradition. Each year, each class will receive their own commemorative coin with the college seal on one side and a picture of a campus landmark on the other. This picture, along with the date, will change annually. The 2021 coin bears the picture of the fountain and the Braswell Administration Building. With the receipt of this coin and the completion of your degree requirements, you join a community of over 15,000 Wesleyan alumni. What an achievement, a remarkable feat to be acknowledged and celebrated. Many of us here today understand the sacrifices you made to be here. So myself and all of the alumni of North Carolina Wesleyan College are celebrating with you today, graduates. And as the celebration comes to an end, remember the work you've done and the lessons you've learned are yours and yours alone. Remember those here, the professors, other faculty and staff that were invested in your education and development. Remember that no matter where you go from here, that you can always come back, that you will always be a Wesleyan alumni. Spring class of 2021, this is the moment you've been waiting for. On behalf of the Wesleyan alumni community, it is my great honor and pleasure to welcome each of you as members to the North Carolina Wesleyan College Alumni Association. Please join me as we transfer our tassels from the right to the left. Welcome to your Alumni Association. Now, if everyone will stand as 2006 alumni, Miss Letitia Stott sings the alma mater. Thank you.
We on a faith that seeks life's whole, whose hearts and minds unite in soul, whose freedom teaches self-control, a gift which we We praise thee for thy spirit, Wesleyan alma mater. Now we join with voices raised. May thy name be blessed in singing, and by grateful lives be praised.
You can have a seat. Who's ready to celebrate? Congratulations and best wishes again to all of our graduates. You make all of us proud. We wish each of you the very best in the coming years. I urge you to stay in touch with your alma mater. You are a part of the Wesleyan family for life. Please all stand for our chaplain, Reverend Dr. Barry Drum, to offer the benediction, and after the recession, he'll dismiss the guest.
We do request that you remain standing at your seat until all of those in the procession and the graduates have left the commencement area. Let us pray. May the Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Amen. Again, thank you all for attending this 2021 commencement service. Please use the two exits to my left, and your graduate will meet you at the front of the building. You are dismissed.
If the guests will stay inside until the graduates has dismissed.